I thank you, Mr. Nelson, for coming. You hold an important role in our fight against illicit drug use by removing financial incentives to deal. In addition to drug enforcement, investigating and prosecuting money laundering crimes will help to reduce the profit that accompanies drug trafficking. This focus is critical to our nation experiencing record-breaking overdose of deaths. Uh, we know that as anti-money laundering laws become stricter, cartels are forced to become more creative and sophisticated in the way that they launder this money. So I'd like to know your views on whether bulk cash smuggling remains common. In what ways have the financial networks of drug cartels become more sophisticated in trying to avoid law enforcement, particularly with technological advancements and automation?
Thank you for that question, and totally agree with you that this continues to be an incredibly dynamic problem set that we're facing, and we see the incredible consequences of this illegal drug trade and use of not only our financial system but in the international financial system in order to support it. I would say we are still seeing traditional money laundering techniques, as you noted, like cash based transfers. But that being said, we are starting to see drug traffickers use new technologies to skirt our AML laws. Particularly, we're seeing drug trafficking organizations and other transnational criminal organizations becoming more comfortable with the so-called darknet markets and use of virtual currency to launder funds. Although, again, sort of the size and scope of the proceeds that are generated on those platforms remain relatively low just in comparison to cash. So we are looking closely in that vein at sort of illicit financing risks that we face in the context of virtual assets. And given that there's a lack of international implementation of AML CFT standards across virtual assets, how we can work with partner countries in order to create consistency in our AML CFT obligations for virtual assets, which will be incredibly important. And we, as the Treasury Department, have sanctioned a number of key nodes within that ecosystem, including virtual asset service providers, darknet markets, including those associated with Russia, and other types of nodes like mixers that are designed to, or at least in practice, can sort of obtuse and prevent us from being able to identify the beneficial, effectively owner of that particular virtual asset. So we are working hard in this area because we do view it as a source of significant risk, and look forward to continuing to obviously work with Congress on not only in sort of identifying the risk, but identifying tools, techniques, and solutions going forward.
This will be my last question. How are FinCEN and the Office of Foreign Asset Control adapting their approaches to combat these new threats?
Yeah, so we're doing a lot in that vein. So FinCEN recently released an advisory on illicit activity involving convertible virtual currency. Happily, FinCEN, if I can say, I think is sort of within our government been really the leader on this issue, because they've been looking at virtual assets going back to I believe 2014. So it's been almost a decade. And as you know, under the Anti-Money Laundering Act, it clarified that virtual assets were also subject to supervision by FinCEN as effectively as a fiat currency. So these are going to be really important tools in our ability, and my team at FinCEN's ability to regulate this space.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to sign off now.